Hello. This is part 2 of the reliability / common problems with MazdaSpeeds. Whether it's a 3 or a 6, a Gen 1 or a Gen 2, this is it. Now part 1 I already made that had turbo seals, the supposedly weak rods, and high pressure fuel pump internals. I'll link that down in the pinned comment at the top. But today we're going to be going over more problems, which include the timing chain with the VVT actuator, rust, and direct injection / carbon buildup. Let's just get into the show.
0.5, drop a quarter, they gon' finish you. Yeah, I'm on call with a hit or two. No small talk, me and Mr. News, pull up with a flex on the ball in the back.
So problem number 1, timing chain. Yeah, I probably should have had in part 1 because it's quite a big issue. So what cars are affected by it? Well, it's on all Gen 1s, all Speed 6s, and the 2010 Gen 2s. If it's newer than 2010, it's good. So now, with the car you can have a timing belt or a timing chain. Obviously, a belt is made of rubber and all that. Belts can stretch, they can fray, they can harden, and they will definitely break over time. Typically, chains don't do this. However, on some cars, such as the MazdaSpeeds, they do stretch and they fail. So what exactly happens? Like I said, basically, the timing chain stretches. That's basically it, but if you want a more complicated one, not all the time, but usually a pin from inside the variable valve timing actuator decides, you know what, I don't love life that much no more. It essentially stretches the chain much faster. So you're probably thinking, well, why is that bad? Well, a chain controls your timing. Once it's loose enough, you can essentially what they call jump timing, causing the valves to ever so slightly come in and absolutely get destroyed by the top of your piston as they collide into each other at colossal speeds. And now it is new engine time for you, not exciting. So how do you know if you need to get this done? Well, symptoms include loud ticking or rattling from the left of the engine, you know, where your timing gear is.
This is the timing chain, you'll hear it. It's yeah, really bad. And like I say, usually it goes away once the oil pressure's built up, but you can hear it still rattling around there. I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but yeah.
So hearing that on idle and driving below 2000 RPMs. Also, you can pull off the oil fill cap and then you can see the timing chain through there. It really shouldn't be loose at all. So when does this happen on cars? Typically it happens between 120 and 150,000 kilometers, though it can happen as low as 70,000 or as high as 200,000. It's a bit inconsistent, but whatever. So what's the fix? I'm going to encourage you, but / pretty much force you, to do upgraded guides and tensioners and get the VVT actuator done as well. So if you're going through all that work, you might as well get it done. So what's all this going to do? It's got to involve pulling off a lot of bolt-ons, pulling out some engine mounts, the valve cover, and obviously the timing cover. So yeah, it's quite a bit of work, and while you're there, I would recommend doing the camshaft and the crankshaft friction washer and the front oil seal. i.e. just get an entire replacement kit, and that's everything you could need. Though I have seen one for $40 on Amazon. Yeah, yes. You then gotta obviously need to retime your engine. It's very important, otherwise you'll hear the sound of your starter followed by a loud noise and some poo. And this is harder than doing a timing belt. You still can probably do it if you're quite mechanically inclined, while an independent shop will be quoted around $800 to do this. You enjoying? Surely the like, that'd be very nice. Our next problem is rust. It's a Mazda, it will rust. Mazda is notorious for rusting very badly. In fact, we had an NA Mazda 3, we had rust on the door, we tried to find a replacement door for it because it couldn't be repaired, and every single supplier could not find a replacement door that wasn't already rusting. That's how bad it is. So where should you be looking for this rust? Well, on the wheel well, since stones get chipped up and they, chip the paint. Or on seams where the trims meets the door, or even taillights meet the body, or even just on body line. So is it a problem? Do you have to do anything on it? If it's on the chassis, yes, run. Blow it up, move countries, change your name. Basically, yeah, that's quite bad. But don't worry, it basically never rusts there. You're good, just don't stress. There might be some surface rust, that's perfectly normal, and it's not a big problem. If you've got rust on your subframe, this can be a problem on your suspension mounts, though that's usually all very repairable, and like before, it's normal to have surface rust there. However, most rust is on the body, your fenders, your doors, etc. And it's not really that much of a big problem. You see, it looks like complete junk, but if you're all good with that, then great, keep it. Rust is light, it's weight reduction. As long as you know there's not a fat hole and water isn't getting into the car, then it's typically all good. Though I know in some countries, your warrant of fitness or your MOT, they don't like rust. As long as the rust isn't structural and doesn't impact your MOT, you're good. So what's the fix to this? Well, a new panel if possible, but you could also repair it. You could repair it yourself. Chris fixed it, to be honest, and he makes it seem easy, but not gonna lie, it seems very, very hard. But fixing from a pro is very expensive. So next up, onto another reason, is carbon buildup / direct injection. So why? How? In a normal car, they have what's called port injections. The injectors spray petrol into the intake manifold, and then petrol then travels through the valves and cleans them before it enters the cylinder. The MazdaSpeed 3 and MazdaSpeed 6, just like basically all new cars, is direct injected. So what happens here is the injector sprays directly into the engine, so there's no petrol that goes by it and cleans the valves. And you're thinking, oh, why do the valves need to be cleaned by this petrol? Well, primarily it's because of the PCV system. So what happens? Especially as piston rings wear down, pressure will essentially slip past the pistons. This is called blow-by, and it happens typically on boosted or modified cars, but it can happen on any car. And now, this pressure shouldn't be here, so the PCV system's there to say, you know what, mate? You can't be here. It gets the pressure, and it sends it back to the intake manifold. And this pressure, guess what has in it? Carbon, oil, and all that. So they go on the intake manifold, and they go along, and they start sitting on the intake valves, creating carbon buildup. Another cause that may be very common is your EGR system, which takes some of the exhaust gas back into the intake for emissions purposes. Exhaust gas on your intake is not very good. So, but what's wrong with carbon buildup exactly? Why is it bad? Look at these pictures. Look at all that buildup. This can enter your cylinder. If it's enough, the valve may not even close fully. Though that does have to be pretty bad. And in general, it makes it harder for the air to enter the cylinder, and that can cause a loss of power and worse gas mileage. There also may be cold start misfires, or even pre-ignition if deposits enter the cylinder, and that's not a fun time. So how do you fix this? How do you stop it? Well, you need to do a carbon cleanup every about 85,000 miles or 130,000 kilometers. You can have a shop do this. It'll cost a bit, but they'll get it done. If you're doing it yourself, it could take about 5 hours, and what it involves is pulling out the intake manifold, turning the crank until the valves are closed on each cylinder, scraping out all that buildup with tools and compressed air, and then there are formulas you can get to rinse it all off. But we don't want this to happen, so how do you avoid this carbon buildup? Just know it's standard on all real modern cars, to be fair, because they all are basically direct injected nowadays. However, to stop this, we can get a catch can. So instead of the PCV rerouting all that pressure and deposits to the intake, it will go into a separate can. You can also then get an EGR delete so the exhaust gas doesn't enter back into the intake. However, you want to know the most exciting and the most effective way is to go meth injection. There's a good excuse for you to buy the old meth kit. So what happens here is we get a meth injection setup, and what that will involve is a meth tank that runs to an injector that sprays into your intake. It acts like port injection. That meth will go then and clean the valves. This is kind of like what Toyotas, they have both port and direct injection. And I mean, the way that you may be more interested in is it means you can go past 380 wheel horsepower. It's necessary for that. That's nice. If you did enjoy, surely a like, surely a subscribe. See you next time.